birthday, kids. What time is it?
We are entering Terra Incognita, Edson. Week 18.
Week 18.
What's a week 18?
Never. Well, have we ever? Oh, wasn't there a year we had week 18 with like 2 bye weeks or something? But it wasn't
That's
actually.
true.
It was still a 16-game season, but this will be an actual 17th game.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of these records that might be set this week, I think null and void or asterisk them. Although, here's the thing. T.J. Watt might catch Michael Strahan, and that would count because he's only played 15 games.
Yeah, because he was.
He missed
he was
2
out.
games. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be like one asterisk takes out another asterisk. Yeah. I mean, that was always such.
Oh, when Brett Favre laid down on a blanket.
The way he
for him?
got, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It'd be great if T.J. Watt would do it just to get rid of that.
I know. I think Strahan might have got him anyway, but the fact that Brett Favre just curled up in a ball and fell down to give his friend the record. And I think part of that is because most of the league hated Mark Gastineau so much.
Jeez.
They just didn't want him to have the record anymore. Strahan's a great guy. Look what he's done post-football.
Yeah.
Very likable human being, right? Everybody's like, let's give Michael Strahan the record. He's a great guy. Screw Mark Gastineau. So I must say, if I sound a little nasally or whatnot, it's because I have either a bad head cold or Omicron. I'm waiting to find out. So
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not feeling great either, but then I think of myself, this is kind of normal for a January in Connecticut. I mean, before COVID even existed, I was, under the weather quite a few times in January, February. That's kind of a normal thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and the weather here has been very abnormal.
Yeah.
It's been warm
That's
and
true.
raining, and it's raining like every day. So this could be mold. Who knows what this
That's
is?
true, yeah.
Sinus infection, we'll find out. But we got to start with the PCR test and go from there.
Yeah.
So, hey, I got a game on you.
I know.
I went 13-3 this week. You went 12-4. The problem is I'm still trailing you overall by 4, and that's going to be problematic because I don't think I'm going to catch you, man. So
you're if there was ever a week where you could make up 4 games, it would be this type of week, because not only do we have the uncertainties of how many players are going to be out with COVID, injuries that are mounting up, also this last week where it's like, oh, shall we play the starter? Should we not play the starters? Or it's like, so there might be a lot of games that are like, would have been kind of no-brainers, but now it's like, well, what if the team doesn't even try? I don't know. So
that's a good point. I've also been wrestling with the idea of just going nuts and just picking opposite of you.
Can you imagine if we just did that one time? Just everything's opposite.
But the competitor in me won't let me do that.
I know.
I can't just like ruin. I mean,
I can't.
I'm at 156 and 100. I'm 56 games over. That's pretty good, I would think.
I know.
I don't want to go like just mail it in just to try to catch you. So if I catch you, I catch you. I mean, we don't even know. We might end up with all the same picks, and I'll have no shot. But,
yeah.
But I'd rather just go for the best record I can get versus trying to catch you.
Yep.
So there. Hey, before we get into the games, I think we need to address one thing that happened on Sunday that was, you could file it in the realm of one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen, and also terrifyingly scary to watch a human being break down, basically. There's something really going on with Antonio Brown. And what bothers me about the Antonio Brown thing is that there are a lot of people around him who just keep high-fiving and cheering this kind of behavior.
Yep.
He clearly is in desperate need of help. And it's gotten to a point where, I mean, I think his football career is over after this.
I would think so.
He cost himself the Hall of Fame. I mean, he has ruined everything. And for a guy to be going off the rails this badly and no one seems to want to intervene, they just laugh at him, point and laugh, or cheer him on.
Or cheer him on.
Is really tragic because this is the kind of thing where a guy like him could wind up dead in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It won't surprise me if, you see a headline pop up in a couple of years that Antonio Brown was found dead of some drug overdose or murdered or something, right? Because he just seems to be, I mean, you saw the bizarre behavior in Pittsburgh, and then it escalated when he went to the Raiders, and then he couldn't even work with Bill Belichick, and now Tom Brady gets him a 4th chance.
Yeah.
And even a 5th, because Bruce Arians said one mistake and he's out, and he did the fake vaccine thing, and then Bruce Arians still brought him back. And he does this, and now it's over. And so far, the only 2 people who I've heard, I mean, beyond like the media, but the only players or people in the game I've heard say he needs help are Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. And I hope he gets it, because that was horrifying to watch. I mean, you're watching someone whose brain is just completely malfunctioning. But Antonio Brown thinks he's in the right, and that's clearly where he needs the help. He thinks these incidents, he thinks he's the one in the right.
Right.
When he faked his vaccine card, he said, because the guy who faked it never got paid and turned him in. He goes, "Why do people keep betraying me?" Dude, like he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get life. He doesn't get anything, and it's really scary to process. And you wonder, up until he took that, and you don't want to blame it on CTE, and you don't want to blame it on something, but there is a definite. He took that hit from Vontaze Burfict in 2016, I think it was, and he was never the same. Up to that point, he was very jovial and friendly, and everybody loved him, and he warmed up the room with that smile, and he seemed like he's always been a hardworking football player. There's no question. Yeah. But ever since then, the bad behavior started. He started showing up at Penguins games wearing like these like chinchilla jackets and all the bling and acting like an imbecile. And I remember saying back then, I said, I don't like what I'm seeing out of AB. This might not end well. And I said that before any of the real trouble started. And all my friends who are Steelers fans were like, "Oh, no way, he's the best. You're imagining things." And well, after after he left the Steelers and went to the Raiders, I walked in and said, "Didn't I tell you this was going to happen like 2 years ago?" So, yeah, it's really sad. It's really scary. And I do hope somebody steps in and gets this guy like straightened out.
Yeah, he's like one of these people that like whatever he conjures up in his mind, that's what's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And because I don't know what it is, because of like being a football player or the money, like no one's standing up and telling him, wait a minute, no, that is not what it is. Just because you think of it, this is the reality of it. It's like, are people telling him this? I mean, it doesn't seem like they are.
Well, that's the problem. I think when you have the people close to him they're parasites. They're enabling him because they want to get a cut in on his fortune, right? They want to be part of his entourage. And then the people away from it just tend to point and laugh. So, you have this that he's stuck in this neutral zone where nobody really wants to step up and help him. And, it's nice of Tom to say it, and it's nice of Arians to say it, and it's nice of people like Ryan Clark and all these guys on TV to say it. But somebody has to actually do something. Saying it's one thing, doing something's another. If you really care about him, like you say you do, you're gonna try to get him the help that he needs, because it's really gotten to the point where it's spooky. It's really spooky. You're watching someone just completely mentally collapse. So anyway, they still got Le'Veon Bell on the team, so maybe they'll have a repeat this week. Who knows?
That's right.
So we got 7 teams vying for a playoff spot this week. So in the AFC, the teams that have clinched are the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Titans, the Bills, and the Patriots are all in. So that's 5 out of 7. There's 2 spots left.
Yep.
And in the NFC, if I can scroll down fast enough, we've got the Packers, the Cowboys, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Eagles. So there's 1 spot left. So it's pretty interesting. And as we go through the games, I have all the if-thens here, and I'll try to keep up with it. The biggest one, the biggest one in the AFC right now is if Jacksonville can beat the Colts.
Right.
that really blows the whole thing open.
Yep. Yep.
So, but we'll get to that. So, are you ready
Yep.
for our final show here of the regular season? First, I want to congratulate you, by the way.
Why?
Well, one, you're probably going to win our overall title, but
We'll
two,
see.
we actually did it. We stuck to this.
Oh.
We haven't followed through on some of our plans quite yet, but this one, we did the whole season. We didn't miss a week. That's
Every
amazing.
single week. Wow.
Yeah.
Just looking back, all the environment that we're living under right now, it's like that's kind of actually incredible. You could have made it through every single week.
And there were a few times it would have been easy because of our schedules to say,
Yeah.
let's let that one fly.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah, and thank you, audience, for all the support and all the feedback we've gotten through this NFL season. I know it's GeekTime TV, and we've done nothing but the NFL lately. But sports is part of pop culture, and
That's
sports
right.
is entertainment, so it counts. And we love sports. We're like geeky jocks, right?
Yeah, especially the NFL
Yeah,
specifically. Yeah.
right. And both of us played sports and stuff, so we're athletic nerds. First up on Saturday, we got 2 games on Saturday. Remember a couple weeks ago I said I heard ESPN was going to flex in some games at the end?
Yep.
This was
I
what it
remember.
was. So I remember watching the Cowboys-Cardinals Sunday, and they still didn't know who was going to play on Saturday. So ESPN went and picked their games. First one, 4:30. It's the 11-5 Chiefs visiting the 7-9 Broncos.
Yeah, and that Chiefs Cincinnati game turned out to be probably the best game of the week. That was. I have just one question for it's Steve Spagnuolo, I think, and the whole defensive. Did their preparation include watching game film of Jamar Chase?
No.
Like at all?
No. Jamar Chase had more yards than most teams had total offense.
You think after the first 150 yards, they'd be like, okay, maybe I can roll safety over there, or like, I don't know.
I mean,
double team. The ultimate one was the 3rd and 27, and he got a 30-yard bomb. It's like you can't let that happen.
And this is my problem with the Chiefs. I've never thought much of their defense at all. They've played better of late, but I've never thought much of their defense at all.
That's why I was shocked. Their defense had been like their bright spot over the last 7-8 weeks, and it's like, what happened there? I don't know. I mean, I give Cincinnati a lot of credit.
Even the very first one where he just ran through their defense.
Yeah.
I mean, he caught it, and there was probably 6 or 7 Chiefs around him, and he just kind of – he didn't even make – it looked effortless how he just went right through them all without getting touched. It wasn't like he was breaking tackles. He didn't even get touched.
I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs defense was hearing the headlines. Like, yeah, that's right. We're the better unit.
It could be that. Also, like, the fact that they're on a 8-game winning streak. They might have been. Yeah. They're okay. We're back. We're the big bad Chiefs again. And who knows?
Yeah, and it cost them because they lost that number 1 seed.
Yeah.
At least for now. I think they will. I know they're going into Denver, but I think the talent differential, especially at quarterback, I think we'll get them enough to win this game, especially since they know they still have a chance if for some reason the Titans stumble. But that was a bad loss last week for them.
Yeah, it really was, and I agree with you as far as just raw talent on talent. I mean, Denver. It's funny, there's an article today on NFL.com that Melvin Gordon says he really regrets how this season turned out because the roster is pretty much in place to make a deep playoff run. And I totally agree with him. I've been saying that all year. They've got 2 great running backs. They've got 3 great receivers. They've got great tight end. They've got an excellent defense. And their offensive line is solid enough. They're missing a franchise quarterback. And that's the problem. I like Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy's kind of a backup. And I don't even know if Teddy's going to play this week.
I was even talking like I didn't think he was playing, but yeah.
I don't know if he's going to. Drew Lock is limited because he got hurt too. So
okay.
I don't know who's going to play, but even if Teddy plays, I think the Chiefs know that they've got to get that number 1 seed. They want that week off. They want every game going through Arrowhead. They don't want to have to travel at all. So I think the Chiefs will go in there and take care of business, knowing what's at stake. And real quick, we lost John Madden last week, and this week we lost Dan Reeves, who was a longtime coach of the Broncos, and played for the Cowboys. What a shame, he had dementia, and it makes you wonder, because Marty Schottenheimer, who's kind of the same generation, had the same thing happen. So, and these guys were playing back in the day when you could take a sledgehammer to the helmet, and who knows? But
Yep.
I always liked Dan Reeves. He was always seemed like a really classy guy when he went to the Falcons and spent some time with the Giants. But I always remember him for those Broncos teams that came so close. They'd always get to the Super Bowl and then get mauled. And I wanted him to get one, for him and for John Elway. And Elway ended up getting them, but that was Mike Shanahan. So rest in peace, coach. And that's another horrible loss for the league. All right, the late game on ESPN on Saturday night at 8:15, the 11-5 Cowboys traveled to Philadelphia to take on this upstart Eagles team. Where did they come from? What happened? 4 wins in a row and 6 of 8? What the shit's going on in Philadelphia? Explain.
It looked like Washington
Please explain what's going on in Philadelphia.
I don't know. I've seen they're kind of like an up and down team, and somehow they win these games. And I'm not going to be one of those people that says, yeah, because they benefited from the schedule. No, I mean, you know what? Everybody's got whoever on their opponent list, or it's whatever games you have that you have. So I give them credit for it. And they always seem to be stumbling around that early on, and then they somehow figure out how to win. I thought Washington for sure had the upper hand there. I think were they up by 10 or maybe 14, and somehow the Eagles made it back, and I don't know how they did it, but I didn't watch a lot of that game, and I was surprised that the Eagles won, actually. I don't know. This game here this week had the
11-5, and as you said, Andrew, 1 win away from locking up that number 1 seed in the AFC.
Right, Kansas City could get it potentially here if the Texans, or rather the Titans, were to stumble and KC wins on Saturday. They get the Broncos. There are all kinds of moving pieces.
No, it's definitely not me, because I don't have it.
Sorry, I just killed all the windows. I hate autoplay videos that I can't find.
You can't find them, and it's like, where are you?
I'm trying to do a little research, and that happens, so.
I was just going to say that this game was going to be this game that meant a lot to both teams, like Dallas trying to get the number 1 seed and the Eagles trying to get into the playoffs. But now it's like, with the Eagles win and the Dallas loss, it's kind of doesn't even mean that much. So this might be one of those games where either one team rests their starters, or the other team, or both. So it's it's a hard read for me. That's why at the surface of it, I was going to pick the Cowboys, because I think they're a better team, but it's like, how do I know how long Prescott's going to go? And definitely Ezekiel Elliott, I don't think is going to go at all, because I think he's still hanging on to these injuries. And on the other hand, are they going to rest, all the Eagles starters too? I don't know. I'm just going to stick with the Cowboys, but again, this is one of those games that kind of you're not going to know really who's going to be playing and how many starters, how many backups.
Yeah, it's kind of this is a pick. I mean, Micah Parsons is on COVID list, so who knows?
Right. I didn't even hear about that, but that's a bad.
I think the NFL's down to 2 days. If you're asymptomatic, it's 2 days, and then test negative and come back, or cleared by a doctor and you come back. So who knows? But I was disappointed in the Cowboys last week at home in a game that they could have put a firm grasp on that number 1 seed, or come close. Well, Green Bay's still a game ahead, but it just they looked offensively, they were all out of sync as usual. They just looked completely. It's like when they get off schedule on offense, they suddenly just the wheels come off, and they are. I mean, they made a late comeback sort of, but you never really felt like they were going to catch the Cardinals in that game. It was kind of bizarre. They're at home. By the way, they should wear those uniforms all the time at home. Those are awesome. I like them better than the regular white. Mostly because the blue, Those Dallas white uniforms drive me nuts because the blue doesn't match on anything, and neither does the silver. And they did it back in the 70s because the old tube cameras couldn't decipher the colors properly between like the metallic helmet and the pants. So they were different colors so that when you saw it on TV, it looked like one color. But we're in the age of 4K, man. Now you look at it and you can see that the pants don't match the helmet, and the blue is like royal blue on the shirt and navy blue on the helmet. They look like, come on, man, fix that. And then so last week they wore everything's navy blue. It looked great, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, enough about the aesthetics of their uniforms. Dallas, they've got everything they need to go all the way, and yet they keep stubbing their toe. I mean, and a lot of it too is Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's gotten by on a team loaded with talent because, again, we saw this mistake late in the game. He was out of timeouts because he wasn't clock managing very well. And Chase Edmonds fumbles the ball, but they couldn't challenge it.
Right.
Because they had no timeout. They could have got the ball back. They were only down by 3.
They were right there.
They were right there, but the game was over in essence because they couldn't stop the clock anymore. That said, now the Eagles, I can't figure the Eagles out. They've flown completely under the radar. Get it? They've flown, the Eagles. So they've... Jalen Hurts, though, watching him week after week after week, he's getting better and better. He's looking more and more comfortable, especially in the passing game. We always knew he could run. They're home. They want a playoff spot. So I think you're right because Dallas can't get that number 1 seed. They've already clinched the division. I think they're going to play their guys for maybe a half, if that, and then start sitting them down.
Yeah.
So I see the Eagles winning kind of a second. The second half, I think, will feel more like a preseason game, but I see them winning. That one. So.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up about McCarthy last, because I could have sworn I wanted to put it in the back of my mind to bring that up. Yeah, so he wasted that timeout earlier when it was a 4th down and 5 for Arizona, and they got confused on that. They weren't sure if Arizona was going to go for it or not, and he burned the timeout. That was ridiculous. So those type of things have kind of been happening off and on all year long, and and sooner or later you knew it was going to hurt them badly. That's the first thing, and they could have used that, of course, to do the challenge. The other thing is, I have a question for their offensive game plan if McCarthy's coming up with it. You know that the Cardinals, two of their corners are out, or both of their corners are out. I believe they're injured. How about your offensive game plan be attacking further downfield because you have the quarterback and the receivers to do it? What was their plan early on? It's they didn't even do that at all. It's they just went for these sideline passes and maybe short passes, dump offs or whatever. Yeah. Then later on they start, when they made a little bit of a comeback, they started doing that. Well, how about doing that at the beginning? It's take advantage of whatever the team gives you. I don't get that, but like you, I'm disappointed in how they did that too.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. They took that little trick play, that flea flicker, to kind of galvanize them getting back. Yeah. Throw that pass to Pollard to get them kind of back in the game a little bit. They were so flat up to that point, really flat.
Plus, their running game we know isn't. Remember how earlier on you were saying they had such a great balance? I mean, their running game hasn't been there for the last 5 or 6 weeks.
No, they haven't.
So
we'll
see.
We will see. All right, moving to Sunday, and there was no Monday night game, so the season will end on Sunday.
Yep.
We go to. Whoops! Did I miss one? No. We've got the Colts at 9-7 visiting Jacksonville 2-14.
Oh yeah, and the Colts kind of stubbed themselves too, trying to get into the play. So they're still not in, I believe, as of right now. I believe they do just need this game to get in. So I mean, against the Jaguars, a team who's kind of has mailed it in for quite a few weeks now. I don't even think even if they don't trot out any quarterback, I think they can win this game, and then they're going to need it just to get into the playoffs.
Yep. So here's the Colts. The Colts get a playoff berth with a win or a tie, or a Chargers loss, a Baltimore-Pittsburgh tie, or a Chargers loss, a Pittsburgh loss, and a Miami win.
So, yeah, just the win will do it.
Yeah. So just the win. Just take care of business. I'm with you. The Colts, Carson Wentz ended up playing. Remember, we thought it was going to be Sam Ehlinger. Wentz ends up playing.
Yeah.
They probably would have been better off with Sam Ehlinger. I mean,
Yeah.
if you looked at Carson Wentz is bad. He is not good. And he got away with one. Did you see he heaved that bomb up for grabs and deflected into T.Y. Hilton's hands? I mean, that should have been picked.
Yep.
He is a mess of a quarterback. He's not good at all. We said it last week. Imagine this team with Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Or even Phillip Rivers still.
Right. Maybe.
That said, like you said, they could go out there with Sam Ehlinger or no quarterback at all. Jacksonville just looks... They gave up a 50-burger to the Patriots last week. I did hear that the Colts... Did I hear they lost like their last 4 in Jacksonville?
I did hear that too, and I was like, "Wow!" I was kind of like shocked at that.
It is shocking.
But it's the Jaguars who lost their head coach in the middle. It was controversy from like week 1, and it's like so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And those were probably early in the season, or when you get into the muddle in the middle. But right now, it's the last week of the season. The Colts need to win to get in the playoffs. They're not going to Jacksonville and rolling over and laying an egg.
Yeah.
All right, next up, the Packers at 13-3 travel up to Detroit to take on America's team, the 13-1 Lions.
And this is another one. I don't think Rodgers is playing. I think Jordan Love is actually going to start this game. Not that they can't win without him. Just saying it's another game where it's like, I mean Detroit. I think they're just going to go. They're eliminated, so they're just going to play their regular normal starters and everything, I believe. But the Packers, we don't know how many players are going to play and for how long. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is playing at this point. So I kept going back and forth on this. And I still think the Packers can still win this game, so I'm still going to go with them.
Okay. I haven't seen it either. Even if they do, it might be the thing where LaFleur puts them out there for a quarter or two, maybe to grab a little bit of a lead and then pull them out.
Yep.
Well, but this is the perfect spot to start Jordan Love and see what you got with him, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Especially because if you know you might be losing Aaron Rodgers this year.
Yeah, you want to see.
You got that number 1 seed. You essentially give them a 2-week bye if you sit them down now. Going up to Detroit. Detroit is, let's face it, they've been blown out once, maybe twice this year. They got blown out in Seattle last week, but they still put up almost, 29-30 points. So,
yeah, they're competitive for sure.
They're very competitive. I think Dan Campbell is going to want to end the season on a high note. He's got them at home where they're comfortable. If Green Bay is going to be pulling guys out and putting their second string in there for most of the game, if not all the game, I see the Lions picking them off. I've got Detroit.
Yep.
I've got Detroit winning their 3rd game here. Next up, the game everybody's talking about, the game that nobody can wait until 1 o'clock on Sunday for. The 6-10 Washington football team travels up to New York to take on the 4-12 Giants.
And I don't even know who's starting at what for either team at quarterback.
Jake Fromm for the Giants.
Point. Oh, jeez.
Glennon's out for the year, injured.
Okay, and we know
he's having
Jones
neck
out.
reduction surgery. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Washington. I'm not sure if Heineke's playing, but I mean, the Giants are kind of like that's another team that hasn't really shown up since Daniel Jones kind of went out. And it was kind of weird the way when Daniel Jones went out was kind of like this, started out as this week-to-week thing, and then it just kind of, okay, we're shutting them down, and that's the end of it. And then ever since then, it's like everything's in shambles there. You hear what Judge said? Like he went on a rant, I guess, after the game this past week, saying, because people are asking, oh, do you really see, how you're making progress here. He's like, he went on this tangent about like, if you realize just how many of these players want to stay here just because of me, just go. I get calls from former players that wish they could come back. It's like, what are you? It's almost like he's going out of his way to like try to justify. Why do you have to justify in front of the reporters? It's just like, just move on. It's like, I don't know.
Wow. Thinks highly of himself, doesn't he?
Yes. But regardless of, I mean, okay, he may be a nice guy to play for, but we're not really seeing anything on the field. So Washington here.
Yeah. Boy, the Giants mustered a whole field goal last week.
Yeah. Yep.
With that potent offense. It's weird, too, because I think Barkley had over 100 yards rushing, ironically. I think he had 108. Yeah, the Giants are about as flat and listless as it gets, and now you have a third-string quarterback in there. Washington still has a good defense, and I think Tyler Heineke can move the ball. I mean, they played a pretty good game against the Eagles last week.
I thought they were going to win that game.
I thought they were too, and they could have. Heineke threw a pick in the end zone at the very end. They were coming in to take they were going to win that game. So, yeah, I think Washington. I'll take the road dog. I'll take Washington up there in New York to just put the Giants out of their misery. And hey, the Giants have two first-round picks this year, so maybe they can put this back together. But the other game that people can't wait for, that everyone's talking about, is the 6-10 Bears going to the 7-9 Vikings Sunday at 1:00.
That's another one where both teams are eliminated. But I don't think Justin Fields is playing here, so it's going to be, I forgot who it was.
Andy Dalton again.
It's either Dalton or
Nick Foles.
Or Foles. And I do believe Cousins is back now from the COVID list.
Yes, Cousins is playing.
Minnesota at home. They still have better talent than Chicago does, regardless of how badly they squander it. how weird they play. It's like, again, they can beat the best of teams, they can lose to the worst teams, but I'm gonna pick Minnesota based on the fact that just Justin Fields isn't playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota at home too. I think the Cousins, they're gonna try to end the season on a high note. For whatever it's worth, I don't think Mike Zimmer survives this. This is 8 years now with marquee talent and no results at all. I mean, they're missing the playoffs year after year after year. And they look bad. Like, you're right. I mean, how many games this year with the Vikings came down to the very end, the last play or the last?
I think it was like
9 of them, 10 out of their 16, 17 games. I mean, it's insane.
It was a lot.
Almost all of them.
Probably like 8.
Yeah, week after week. It was just crazy. So Mike Zimmer's a great defensive coordinator. Back when he was the DC for the Bengals, I thought he was the best head coaching prospect out there. So did Minnesota. It didn't work out that way. I think he'll definitely he is a phenomenal defensive coordinator.
Yes.
And I think he'll land on his feet quickly if he does get let go here. Rumor has it Jim Harbaugh's ready to come back to the NFL. This would be a team that he would immediately have success with. I think Minnesota might be looking at Jim Harbaugh.
Jeez. Okay.
That would be a good move for them. So, but Vikings at home, I think you're right. The Bears, look, Justin Fields has a really bright future. The ceiling is really high for him, and I think that if they can get a better head coach and fix that offensive line, the Bears could be someone to be reckoned with. They do have Robinson will be a free agent this year, so that'll be a problem for them because beyond Robinson, they don't have a whole lot with receiver depth. But I like watching the Bears. I think they're a fun team.
I do too.
I think they're fun with Justin Fields. I'd like to see maybe Harbaugh goes there. He's the next Bear, right? Maybe he goes there.
Yep.
We'll see. But either one of these teams could use Jim Harbaugh. So, but yeah, Vikings at home. Next up, the 11-5 Tennessee Titans travel to Houston to take on the spirited Texans, 4-12, 1:00 CBS.
Spirited Texans, yeah. Yeah, this is a game where the Titans have gotten into that number 1 spot, and they certainly don't want to lose it. Not against Houston. They'll be. I'm sure they'll be going out there to play full on just to win this game and lock that up. And I think the Titans are like that, kind of like that perfect team to get the number one seed, because they're not a team that if they, like sometimes a team will like lose like momentum if they take a week off. That I don't think that's the Titans. The Titans are one of those teams that like every time they come onto the field, it's like a full reset, full reboot. They'll just they don't have a problem with like losing like momentum or anything like that. So against Houston, do you know if yeah they're not going to play Henry in this game, are they?
No, they're not. He is practicing, and they're going to activate him for the postseason.
It would make no sense, especially with if they can get that number one seed. Well, with all that extra rest, that'd be perfect for him to come back starting with the playoffs. So yeah, Titans over Houston.
Yep. So Tennessee, if they win, they've got the number one seed. Or if the Chiefs lose, or if the Chiefs lose, Cincinnati loses or ties, New England loses or ties, or Kansas City loses, Cincinnati loses or ties, and Buffalo wins.
Buffalo wins.
Tennessee just win the game, right? So, yeah. So I'm with you. What's been astonishing to me with this Tennessee team, and it shouldn't be, because ever since Mike Vrabel took over this team, they have come up with huge wins when they weren't expected to. They've gone up to the New England and upset Bill Belichick. They've gone into the playoffs and knocked Lamar Jackson out twice. This is a really well-coached team that it doesn't seem like they can sustain it. Like their playoff runs do come to an end after a game or so. Yep. But they can dig down. The fact that when they lost Derrick Henry, I thought, okay, they'll be lucky to go 500 the rest of the way. And it doesn't matter who they put in there. They've got the biggest offensive line. They got the biggest defensive line. They move the ball. They control the line of scrimmage, and as long as they control the line of scrimmage, it doesn't matter who's running the ball, who's throwing the ball, who's catching the ball. They're getting Julio Jones back. They're getting healthy at the right time. They got Henry coming in. This team is primed and ready to go deep, I think, into the playoffs. I think Mike Vrabel, it's his third or fourth season now. He's really figuring it out. He might get them all the way to the championship game this year. I mean, who knows? I mean,
yeah, who knows?
But they've surprised me all the way on this.
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, I got burned a lot on them by them.
Same. I mean, because you just think, well, Tannehill is okay, and they don't have Julio Jones, who's one of the best ever, and they don't have Derrick Henry, who's one of the best ever. Like, how's his team going to? And they keep winning. They just keep winning. They're really, really well coached. On the other side, I didn't realize this. The Houston Texans are 3-3 in their last 6 games, playing very well. Davis Mills, again, he might contend for that number one spot next year. I would almost. Who knows what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson this spring? That'll be interesting, I guess, to watch. But my mindset, if I'm Houston, is Davis Mills is our quarterback, and you got to think that way. I think going into next year. That said, I really like the Texans. I like how they've been playing lately, but I don't think they're going to stop Tennessee, who's got a mission. They're on a mission. They get that number one seed, and the road goes through Tennessee, through Nashville. Next up, oh boy, the 8-7-1 Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Baltimore to take on the 8-8. Losers of 5 straight, Baltimore Ravens.
5 straight.
The Ravens were the number one seed 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks ago. I know it's one of these like pick 'em games again. These matchups have classically always been really great, but it's like in very different circumstances. Usually they're like, because they're like
both dominant.
And they're like, at this point they would have been like trying to vying for a better seed in the playoffs or
right.
Or I don't even know if Lamar Jackson played, but Tyler Huntley's been doing fine in his replacement. I think. Let's see. Well, watching the Steelers against, I give them a lot of credit for getting, avoiding yet another losing season this year. Beating up on Cleveland, despite the fact that on offense, I I don't know what that game plan was. I think Roethlisberger threw it like 46 times and he got like 100 and something yards.
123 yards or something.
So I don't know. That was weird. Almost like, oh, we want to give you a chance to go out on a big thing, but it's like, what? I don't know. What? Still, Cleveland was in worse shape. So I don't know. That was kind of like a game of like who can play the worst, I guess. I don't know. So I'm going to go with the Ravens here because I think that Harbaugh is not going to just lay down and just let the season go. Obviously they're not going to make the playoff. They're already eliminated.
No, they're not.
So
they actually have a shot.
The Ravens?
The Ravens have a shot, and here's how the Ravens get in.
Wow.
They win, and the Chargers lose, the Colts lose, and Miami loses their ties. They need a lot of help, but they can get in.
Well, I mean, it's pretty close to just being eliminated, but I think they'll still want to play their hardest, especially given the opponent. And I'm going to go with the Ravens here.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, the Steelers, really strange game plan. But one thing that happened to the Steelers that I was like, okay, why did it take 16 weeks to figure this one out? They've had a rookie guard named Kendrick Green starting at center all year. Kendrick Green couldn't play last week. So in comes a guy named J.C. Hassenauer, who was with the Steelers last year and actually played center at the end of the year last year. J.C. Hassenauer shored up that center position. He played really, really well. In addition, they had a guy named John LeGlue come in and play guard. And lo and behold, the Steelers ran the ball for 188 yards.
Wow.
Najee Harris had 188 yards. And I was like, okay, where the hell has this been for 16 weeks? Like, who's working for this team that can't see this in practice? Like, really? Because the Steelers' offensive line plays on roller skates every week. Not last week. That was weird that Ben only had 123 yards. That was really weird. But then the defense really stepped up.
Yep.
Cleveland's got a good offensive line. I know they had a couple of dudes out, but their offensive line on a bad day is still 100 times better than the Steelers' offensive line. I thought T.J. Watt was going to get the 5 sacks he needed Monday. He almost did. He got 4. They sacked Mayfield 9 times, hit him probably like 12, 15, 16 times. Mayfield, I guess, is opting for surgery now, so he's done.
He's out. Yeah.
He's a gamer, but boy, I'll talk about him when we get to Cleveland. Let's go to Baltimore. Baltimore, they played really, really well this week, and they almost came up with the upset. They almost did.
Almost.
Huntley is a solid quarterback. I think he's really good, and I think Huntley could, when he plays out this rookie contract, could end up starting for somebody down the road. I
think so too. Yeah.
He looks really good. He's just solid. He doesn't seem to make mistakes. And he's always putting up a 280, 300 passing game. A couple touchdowns, no picks. He's very clean. He plays a very clean game, and he can run. Baltimore's at home, but I just still think they've lost too much. I think there's too many injuries on that team. The Steelers have a higher chance of making the playoffs, so the Steelers get in with a win, a Colts loss, and a Vegas – or the Vegas Chargers game does not end in a tie. So that has to end
Okay.
One of those teams has to win that game. So basically the Steelers are in if the Colts lose. That's basically how it works. I don't think the Colts are going to lose, but the Steelers, that's all they need to have happen, where Baltimore needs like 6 things to happen. So I'm taking the Steelers.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I think if they go out there, run that offensive line back out there, and they do what they did this week and run Najee Harris 20 to 25 times, they can win that game. It's going to be another ugly game, just like the Cleveland game Monday night, like where both teams are struggling to get 2 touchdowns on the board. But I just think the Steelers also, the Ravens defense is just in tatters, and I think that's where the Steelers can actually pull one out. So I'll go Pittsburgh on the road. Why not? Next up, let me click the right button. The other AFC North battle, the 10-6 Bengals travel to the aforementioned Browns at 7-9, 1 o'clock on Fox.
Yeah, he just talked about Mayfield opting for surgery, and I don't even think probably Burrow might not even play that much if at all, because I know he's got like I don't know if it's an actual injury or it's just kind of like something with his ankle that was like they're saying it's no big deal, but with Mayfield out and I don't even know who they would play, but about that Pittsburgh Cleveland game, this is another question I have maybe for Stefanski. It's like you saw the film, huh? What?
I know what you're going to say. That's why
You
I'm
saw
laughing.
the film of the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 games about Steeler opponents running the ball up the middle or wherever, and you have the running game and offensive line that you have. So instead, you opt to have Mayfield just drop back all day long. May I ask why? Is it just to give T.J. Watt the sack record? I don't know. I was just shocked. I was just shocked that that game was not out of hand at all throughout the whole. So it's like, why you have to continually call passing plays? I have no idea. Whatever.
No, I knew you were going to say that, and it's really interesting because you're right. The Steelers. That's why I picked Cleveland, because I'm like, they'll just run Nick Chubb for 300 freaking yards.
I know, we both said that last week.
Yeah. Right, and I switched to the Manning cast at one point in the game, and the Mannings were saying the same thing. Peyton said something like, "Hello."
Yeah.
The Baker's no good unless Chubb is standing right next to him. Like,
right.
and I it's one of those things. Our mutual friend George was here watching it with me, and he said maybe sometimes these coaches, they out clever themselves.
Oh, okay.
And Stefanski went in there thinking they know I'm gonna run, and they're gonna be ready for that, so I'm gonna pass. But he should have given up on that right away. Like, I think the first possession Cleveland had, all 3 balls Mayfield threw to his receivers were dropped. They dropped all 3 of them. They were in their hands and dropped them. And that kind of set the tone for the passing game right there. It was never right after that. He had a streak where he threw 9 incompletions in a row. And
Yep.
You got on top of it, your quarterback is scotch taped together. He is so broken. He's so beat up. He's a baller, but my God. I mean, you're right. I mean, you've got a healthy Nick Chubb, and you're doing what now? Not only that, they were running the third Johnson a lot on first down.
Yep.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, I think Stefanski outcoached himself on that, and you're absolutely right about that.
I don't know. Maybe Chubb. Maybe there was something wrong with Chubb, and that we don't know about. Who knows? But
even then, you still have Johnson, who's a decent running back.
Yep.
And you have good tight ends, and that's where you dominate the middle of the field. You use Schwartz in the middle of the field. You use Njoku in the middle of the field. The Steelers are weak in the middle of the field, and you had to exploit that, and they didn't even try. A couple of times, because they saw you had Robert Spillane get matched up with a tight end in the middle of the field, and he couldn't keep up. There were a few times where they did that, and I was like, because Spillane can stop the run, but he can't defend the pass. Devin Bush wasn't there. Devin Bush wasn't there all year.
Right.
He's terrible. So, I mean, you have to exploit that weakness. Joe Schobert was out. The Steelers had nothing in the middle of the field. They're using a converted safety as a middle linebacker, Marcus Allen. You've got to do something with that. And they didn't. And you're right. I mean, that was just poor coaching on Stefanski's part.
Yep.
Cincinnati has a shot at the number 1 seed, but they need a lot of help.
So
Tennessee's got to lose. The Chiefs got to lose. And the Patriots have to lose. So,
I'm still picking Cincinnati. I forgot to say that.
Oh, are you picking Cincinnati?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick them too. Case Keenum's going to get the start for Cleveland. Who knows? I mean, Case Keenum is good enough to win football games. He had a great year in Minnesota under Stefanski. But I think the Bengals they're not going to take the foot off the gas. I don't think so. I think the Bengals, because this is, terra incognita for them, don't want to let down at all. They want to keep that momentum. They want to keep that drive. They want to keep the focus, eye on the prize. And whether they're the number 1 seed or not, they know they've got to win 4 games probably in the playoffs. So, I'll take the Bengals as well. Next up, the 9-7 49ers travel up to or down to Los Angeles to play the Rams.
Yeah, this was another one that I was like, kind of. I mean, I know the Rams definitely have to want to win the division. The 49ers need to get in. I don't think they made it yet into the playoffs. They had that terrible loss to the Titans that they could have had that game, and they kind of lost that game. And the Rams, do they still have a shot at the number 1 seed too?
Okay, I can give you that right
probably
now.
not.
So here's the scenario. San Francisco's is an easy one. Win and in, or
that's what it
or
is.
the Saints lose or tie. So they can still lose, and if the Saints lose, they're in by default. But just win and you're in. Now the Rams clinch the West with a win or an Arizona loss or tie. So
okay.
So they're still going for the division title because the Cardinals can win the division. So
yeah, they can't get the number 1
it's
seed.
about trying to get a home field advantage in one of the games anyway, right?
I think the 49ers will play a good game here. They'll their defense will kind of try to get at I'm forgetting his name again. Who the Rams have playing quarterback again?
Matthew Stafford.
He's like, we've seen like his usual pattern where if like things go a little bit wrong, he tends to, or if he doesn't have his security blanket Cup, he tends to make a lot of mistakes. But the only thing that's got me hesitating, the 49, we don't know who's playing. I don't think we know who's playing at quarterback, Trey Lance or Garoppolo. But I think the 49ers will win this game.
Yeah, this is a tough one too.
It is very tough. Yep.
I am not confident in Matthew Stafford. I think I said it last week or the week before.
Yeah, you did.
With each week that goes by, I have less and less faith in this dude. He did it again. He had 3 turnovers again.
Yep.
I just they
almost lost that game because of him.
Yeah. Most of his stuff. First half, he had a much better second half. But I just don't think they're going very far because of him. I think they mortgaged their future for him. I mean, they gave up.
I know.
Jared Goff and 2 first-round picks for him. And they've emptied the piggy bank on all these other free agents. They're going for broke, and I don't think they're going to get it. I just don't. Trey Lance looked pretty good.
He did look okay.
The first half, very slow. What was it? It was like 6-3 at halftime, I think, maybe, or 10-3 at half. It was a low-scoring game at halftime.
Yep.
And then the second half, he made some really nice throws on the run. Showed a really strong arm. Very small sample size, so I don't know what to make of it.
Right.
This is tough because both teams need it and want it. But who gets it is the question.
This is one of the few ones that really matter. One of the few games that do matter.
That do matter. And I think the 49ers have the potential to go in there and pull it off, but I just think that Cooper Kupp is almost undefendable this year. He broke Isaac Bruce's records last week. I think he's just having one of those magical years, and it might be like he's always been a good receiver. I've had him on fantasy teams in the past. He's always been very productive, but nothing like he's doing right now. And OBJ is also getting more involved in the offense. He made a couple of really good plays. OBJ, I got to give him credit. I gave him credit a few weeks ago where he ran backwards out of bounds to save for the clock. He made a couple of great plays again this week using his brain. Where he stretched out for a first down. He got stopped short, but he stretched it out. He was aware of where the marker was. And then the touchdown, he tucked it inside the pylon. So he's got a really good sideline and line of scrimmage awareness. And, so I got to give him credit. I know I bang on the guy a lot, but he's using his head. He's not making stupid mistakes. So I just think that Sony Michel's been running well. And I think with all of that and their defense at home, with what's on the line, I think they'll find a way to beat the 49ers. So I'll take the Rams. Next up, the 5-11 Panthers. They were once 3-0. Travel to Tampa Bay to take on the 12-4 Bucks.
Yeah.
Without Mr. Big Chest.
Yeah, but I mean, at home, the Bucks. I mean, I know they got some issues. Godwin's out, and they have some injuries on defense as well. But Carolina, still Sam Darnold is there. I don't think he's going to be there that much longer. I think that experiment's over. Their offense, I just can't watch. They've kind of become, to me, like what I used to when I used to watch the the Bears like last year when they had like no running game and they had was it Dalton last year?
No, it was
maybe not.
who was their quarterback? Oh, it
Well,
was Mitch Trubisky.
I know at one time it was Trubisky, but then they kind of moved. Oh, then they went right to Foles, and then it was like it got even worse. It was like oh, I don't know. I can't even see Carolina even like scoring at all against the Bucs. So yeah, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the Bucs are all dinged up, but the Bucs are the Bucs, and I think their only healthy running back right now is Le'Veon Bell.
Oh wow,
which makes it really interesting. But you're right.
It does.
The Carolina. I remember coming into this season, I said to you, I always consider Carolina one of the most boringest teams to watch, right? And then they went on that 3-0 run, and they were so much fun to watch at the beginning of the year. They were exciting. And then Sam Darnold put his Jets uniform or Jets undies back on. And then they bring in Newton, and like the whole thing, it's just a disaster. It's a flaming
disaster. The whole quarterback
disaster.
thing is
McCaffrey spent another almost whole season injured. You know what's going on with him with these injuries, and it's just. I think Matt Rule. I like Matt Rule. I think he's a really good coach. I think he's a victim of the GM here. I think they're going to make him a sacrificial lamb on this and get rid of him. I hope they. Oh, really? I hope he survives. But if they kept Teddy Bridgewater, they'd at least be, I think, like 8-8 right now, maybe 7-9. This is a disaster, and it's not even that they're 5-11. It's that they were 3-0. So
3-0.
They're 2-11 in their last 13 games. That's just awful. That's epic failure.
Yep.
They desperately need a quarterback. You're right. It's a quarterback weak draft this year too, so it doesn't help them. They might have to go out and actually wheel and deal on the market for somebody, bring in a Derek Carr or somebody. You know what I mean? We'll see. It's a shame. It's a shame because they'll keep Darnold, by the way, because they already exercised his option for next year when they got him. So, but he's a backup. He's a backup quarterback for the rest of his career. His days as a starter are over. So, yeah, that said, Tampa Bay's got more talent, even with all the missing guys they have. And they have Tom Brady. And I think they're locked into their spot. There's, like, no options for Tampa Bay here. They already won the division. So.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you might end up taking Tom out in the second half and whatnot. Yep. But even then, Tampa at home, they'll win the game. All right, next up. Whoops, I never loaded it in. Here it is. The 6-10 Seahawks travel to Arizona to take on the 11-5 Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals still have a shot at the division. They found they finally broke that losing streak against the Cowboys, which is a quality opponent in Dallas. I guess Kyler Murray, going back to his college or high school days, never loses in Dallas.
I should have paid attention. I wish I paid attention to that. That and the fact that they're 8-1 on the road this year.
Yeah, I should have. But who knew that that all of a sudden they would have. And I think that was also, as we talked earlier, that that's also a reflection of the Cowboys just making all sorts of mistakes and coming out flat as well. But still, they're better than Seattle. They're playing at home. They're playing for something. And I think they can beat Seattle here.
Yeah, so Arizona wins the West. It's very simple. They win, the Rams lose, they're in. They got it. So, yeah, is this the last game for Pete Carroll in Seattle?
It might be, yeah.
Is it the last game for Russ Wilson in Seattle?
Well, that
might be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We could see a whole new Seattle Seahawks team next year. A new regime and a whole new fresh start. And it makes sense. This is the first time they've come in last since the 1990s in that division. It's clearly, I remember back in the middle of the year, I said something about like the Seahawks to me are like I'm driving down the road and I see a tree that's rotting.
Yeah.
So it's half alive on one side and it's dead on the other and it's just falling. This is the Seahawks. They've been losing pieces year after year after year and they're not replacing them with quality pieces. And it's just time has caught up with this team. So, yeah. Arizona's playing for a division win. Arizona wants to go in the playoffs on a high. They want to build on what they did with the Cowboys last week and put that 3-game losing streak far, far in the rearview mirror. So I agree with you. Cardinals at home. Next up. The 10-6 New England Patriots travel down to Miami to take on the 8-8 Dolphins, where the Patriots have traditionally struggled.
That's true, but it's against the team that just kind of realized that they're not a playoff team after that drubbing that they took against the Titans. What the heck happened? I mean, I knew they were going to lose that game, but geez, their offense was just like did nothing. And okay, so the Patriots have traditionally struggled, but I don't know. I still don't think Belichick is going to have them stumble here against this Miami team. And I do believe they still can. I mean, I know it will take a lot, but they can still win that division if Buffalo loses. Um, so I don't think he's gonna, kind of take the foot off the pedal or let them, lose to this Dolphin team. I think he wants to definitely go into the playoffs with the momentum of a win here. So I don't give Miami much chance of winning this game.
Yeah, the Dolphins made a great run of it. They really did. But you saw, and you told me last week, their offensive line's no good.
Yep.
And they don't have any kind of running game, and the Titans took full advantage of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Tua was under siege. You could see how he was angry, and he's a pretty mellow kid, and he was angry.
Yeah, but
he was really upset. You're right. The Patriots not only have a shot at the division, they have a shot at the number 1 seed still.
Still? Wow.
Yeah. So it says
that's crazy.
Which one do you want to do first? Division?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Division. If they win and Buffalo loses or ties, the Patriots, or the Patriots tie and Buffalo loses. So either way, it's basically contingent on a Buffalo.
That makes sense.
They can get the number 1 seed overall. If they win, the Bills lose or tie, the Chiefs lose, and the Titans lose.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
So,
that'd be crazy.
That would be crazy. Look at this season. I think we're going to see We're going to see one weird scenario actually play itself out. Watch the damn Steelers get in. So
that would be like what the heck happened?
So it's a shame. I mean, Miami. To watch them get smoked like that. After coming all the way back and having a playoff.
Yeah.
They were in the playoffs going into last week. Now they're out. They're eliminated. So.
I mean, in my head, they were never in the playoffs. I mean,
no, of course not.
When I think of 1-7, it's like I just happy that they made somewhat of a season out of it.
Yeah, definitely. The foundation's there, the bones are there. They just got to fill in some of those holes. They can spackle up the leaks, and they'll be okay. Patriots, yeah, Belichick's gonna want it. I think the competitor in him will never back down from any challenge.
I know. Yeah,
I mean, even if they had no shot at the playoffs, he'd still run his team out there. He'd be like, let's go out there and get this. So, Patriots, yeah, all the way at home. And, I just want to say to all the Patriots, if you're watching, guys from my gym that are Patriots fans, what did I tell you in, August? I said, your team is going to win 10 or 11 games this year. Did I not say that? And every one of them were like, no, we're not that good. And I said, yes, you are.
Look what happened.
Yes, you are. Yep. All right, next up, the 8-8 Saints, still alive for the playoffs. At 4:25, travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Were game last week. The 7-9.
I know,
Falcons.
and that's what makes this game game's difficult for me. It's like I know the Falcons are eliminated, but they would love to just beat the Saints and get their demise, finish off their demise. It's like, and of course the Saints have the same quarterback issue they've been having for most of the season. I know Taysom Hill's going to go out there, but he's very limited.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think because they still have a shot at it, Peyton will come up with something that will get them, even if it's just like a last minute field goal win here. I think they'll still win this game, but it's a very kind of a coin flip for me for this game.
Yeah, so the Saints are in. It's simple. Saints win, 49ers lose, Saints go in. So, Atlanta surprised me because they were outside in the snow. Yeah, you got a dome team up in Buffalo in the snow and had a halftime lead. They had a halftime lead.
Yep.
And I think they could have upset the Bills if that Matt Ryan touchdown, did you see that? He was in. They called him down. They called him down short. He was in. The ball had broken the plane. They called him short, and then they couldn't score. They went for it on 4th down and didn't score, and that turned the whole momentum of the game. He scores right there, and they have the lead, and the whole complexion of that game changes because they had the Bills on their heels for a while there. Now they're going home. You're right. They're going to want to play spoiler. I think they're going to want to finish this thing up at 8 and 9. Build momentum going in. I think the one thing the Falcons have been unable to do this year, I got to go back and look, but I don't remember them winning 2 games in a row at any point.
Yeah, it's been one of those teams that's like
they were win one, lose one, win one. Right. So the Saints are very, like you said, Taysom Hill. I know. It's, but I agree. They still have Alvin Kamara. They still have that great defense.
The defense is real. Yeah, that defense, especially the secondary, always seems to stymie Ryan there.
Yeah, they do.
I don't know.
But the Falcons are at home. Their defense looked really good against the Bills last week. They turned Allen over a couple times. I'm going to go with the Falcons to pull an upset here. I'm going to go with the Falcons to torpedo the Saints season at home. Just feel it in my bones. Next up, the 4-12 Jets, who almost beat Tom Brady last week, travel up to Buffalo to take on the 10-6 Bills, looking to lock up the division.
Yeah, the Jets have really shown me something the last couple of weeks. Very competitive. I mean, they probably, they were really close to winning. Stake by 4, and they had the ball way down there, like a 4th and 2. I'm not sure if that was such a good decision going for it on 4th and 2. It kind of just shifted everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if they get an easy field goal, I know it only puts them up by 7, and Brady still has time to tie. But still, you're giving your defense a chance to just make one stop, which I know it's asking a lot against Tom Brady, but it will still that means you don't lose the game if Tom Brady comes back. So I don't know, going for it there. This whole thing this year about teams going for it on 4th down all over the place has kind of taken away the reasonable, the logic reason behind going it on 4. It's almost like, it's 4th down, just go. It's taking away the kind of the good decisions for going it on 4th down. No, people aren't being discreet about it anymore. It's just at any time someone's just going to go for it on 4th down, and it might have gotten to them. I know they kind of just wanted to seal the game. They get a 4th down, maybe a touchdown, and the game's over. But I might have been a mistake there. But and they're going to Buffalo. Buffalo still needs to wrap up the division. I don't see them losing to the Jets. But this might be close than most people think.
The Jets have played very well over the last month or so.
Yeah.
It feels like they finally have found some comfort. That offense has some comfort now. Maybe it's all those pieces are coming together and learning to play with each other. That offensive line looks much better. They can actually run now. Carter's been running really well. Berrios has emerged as a really good receiver. The Jets are spirited, and I agree with you. I think the thinking Robert Saleh had is, look, they're 4-11 or whatever they were at the time, right?
Yeah.
4-11. Let's just, if we score here, we put them down by 2 scores.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
But I agree. I would have erred on the side of caution. I would have kicked, and you know what? If you end up tied and you go to overtime, take your chances there. But you know what? I get it. It's not like if they were competing for a playoff spot or something,
right.
He kicks the field goal there.
Yeah.
I just think he's like, you know what the hell? We're playing really well. It's, I said to our friend Paul, who's a Jets fan, I said, almost beating Tom Brady is like winning 2 games for you guys this year. Like that was the best game they played all year.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's a huge moral victory. That said, it might also feel like a bit of a Super Bowl win to them to have taken Tom Brady to the wire. And they got to go up to Buffalo now, and Buffalo wants that division. It's simple for Buffalo. Just win, and they got it, right? So I would say so Buffalo can't get a number 1 seed? No, they cannot.
I don't think so.
That's interesting. Okay, they can only win the division. So, yeah, I got Buffalo at home against the Jets. But
yeah, and I forgot to mention back to that 4th down play, where not just the decision to go for it, but I heard afterwards from Salah that the they ran the wrong play. Like there was a miscommunication between the offensive coordinator and
Zach Wilson.
And he did not blame Zach Wilson at all. He kind of pointed fingers at the offensive. So it wasn't supposed to be that play that they ran. So it was like that just made it worse. But
oh, that's a bummer. Wow. All right. Well, I think the Jets will play spirited, but
yeah, they will.
They're not going to win. Next up, the NBC flexed in their pick for the week. The season ends with probably the best one. The 9-7 Chargers travel to Vegas to take on the 9-7 Raiders. 8:20 p.m. with Al and Chris on NBC.
These two teams, as schizophrenic as they can be, we thought the Chargers were going to be such a, great playoff team early on, and then they kind of started losing these games that they had no business losing. Still, they have Herbert. So I mean, to me it comes down, Herbert versus Carr, and I give the Raiders a lot of credit. They did not go to their usual meltdown after losing a couple of games right in the middle of the season. It was right there for them to just the whole season to go. But no, they rallied around. They won some really tough games, had some breaks for them, and now here they are. They can get into the playoff. Is it just them? If they beat the Chargers, they can win this. They can be in the playoffs, or they need other help.
Here's how it works for both of these teams. Simple for the Chargers: win or tie, and they're in. Win or tie. The Raiders a little more complicated: win and they're in, or a tie and a Colts loss, or a Colts loss, a Pittsburgh loss, a tie.
Well, wow. So I'm going to go with the Chargers because they have such an easy way in, and it's like I think they'll be motivated to say, he'll be like, all we have to do is win. It's like, come on, guys. I don't know. I'm probably just thinking that Herbert's going to play the game of his life and win this, but I'm a little bit scared for them because the Raiders are kind of like this dark horse wild card team. Not that's not me just making using wild card as a different meaning.
No, look, this game is tough because basically for either one it's win and you're in. So it's as simple as that. You're right. The Raiders, I picked them last week to beat the Colts, and they did exactly that.
Yeah.
They lost Henry Ruggs, they lost Chucky. It's been a weird year for them. They have one of their defensive backs implicated in a manslaughter DUI or something. It's a mess. They've overcome all these things. And the emergence of Hunter Renfrow has completely changed their offense in the last 5-6 weeks. Hunter Renfrow
that's true.
The go-to guy. This is tough, man. This is a coin flip for me. I keep going, I can see the Raiders pulling this out at home. But then again, I can see the Chargers pulling it out on the road because I think the Chargers just have a little bit more talent. So that said, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Here's the reason. The Super Bowl's in L.A., and I think both L.A. teams want to play at home in the Super Bowl. Little extra motivation, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So I'll go with the Chargers too, but boy, this is truly a pick.
It's this will be the one that I'm really looking forward to. I'm glad they put it on NBC.
Yeah,
at night.
They saved the best for last, and that'll wind up the regular season for 2021, which has been one heck of a year. Yeah. So I got the playoff picture real quick here. We'll throw it up before we sign off, and next week when we come back, it'll be definitive. So there it is. So it's AFC. You got Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Patriots are all in and ranked 1 through 5. Still in the hunt, we have the Colts, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Ravens.
Jeez.
So you got 5 teams vying for.
I can't believe the Steelers and the Ravens are still in the hunt.
I know, it's so surprising. And back over in the NFC, you've got 7 teams in right now: Packers, Rams, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Cardinals, Eagles, and in the hunt for that 7th spot is the 49ers and the
Saints. I can't believe the
Saints
are
that would be the 6th spot, wouldn't it? Because the Eagles are actually, it says 7 here.
Yeah, for some reason the Eagles are locked into the 7th.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Probably because these two teams have double tiebreakers over them.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, I can't believe the Saints are still in the hunt.
I can't either. That's amazing. So all the teams that are out: Jacksonville, Detroit, the Jets, Houston, Giants, Panthers, Washington, Chicago, Seattle, Minnesota, Atlanta, Cleveland, Denver, and your Miami Dolphins. So,
yep, that's it.
That's it. I mean, but you know what? The NFL wanted this. We're in week 18. We've got 7 teams looking to get into 3 spots, and you know, what more could you ask for? Usually, in the years of past, and you know, we've watched football our whole life. This week is the week you go do something else. Because basically nothing matters.
Nothing matters, yeah.
You know, so everybody empties their bench and calls it a week. So, yeah, so we got a lot of games that mean something. We have 4 different this week.
So I have one final prediction. I think you will catch up after this week.
You think we'll end up tied?
Yep.
We'll see. I didn't plan on having 4 different, but I'm trailing you by 4.
It was what I know, but it was one of those weeks where it was kind of like. We've had those weeks before where we had like 5 or something, 5 different picks before. So
that would be something if we end up tied after all that.
And this week was probably one of those because it's like there's a lot of like unknowns and stuff. So you don't know.
A lot of X factors.
Yep.
All right, so I'll see you for the wild card. That's going to be exciting. And we'll see you guys for the wild card. Thank you for watching. You can find us on the socials at GeekTimeNet. You can also find us on the Rumble. And, you know, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. That's always helpful. Thank you so much. Any final thoughts before we sign this puppy off?
Well, let's see. What announcer used to say that the game, you know, the season actually starts after in the playoffs? I forgot what it was, but it's like that'll be like season 2.02 or
2.0.
Wait till 2.0. So we'll see then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things will really get crazy.
Absolutely.
Is this the first? No, is this like the second week that there's like 7? Yeah, I think last year they had 7.
They had 7 last year. Yeah.
Okay, so. Yeah, it'll be fun. I liked having all those games now, Saturday and Sunday.
That and it, you know, with the 1 bye now, you only have 1 bye instead of the top 2 seeds getting a bye. No, so it makes that top seed worth more.
Right. Yeah, that is a true number 1 seed. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, puts a lot of value on it. All right. That's it for me too. All right, we'll see you for the playoffs, gang. Thanks for watching all season. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up below. Also, please subscribe to GeekTime TV. It really helps us grow the channel. And make sure you hit that bell icon in order to receive notifications every time we drop new content here. You can also check us out on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at GeekTimeNet. Thanks again for watching. We will see you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?